guys, my name is Dante, and this is my special guest, Hannah.
Hey guys, what's up?
So yeah, today we're going to be talking about best non-infinite combos for Commander. I got 5, she got 5, and let's start off with my number 5. So we got a Dictate of Kruphitz plus Notion Thief combo. So what do you think about it?
Can you tell me more about what it does?
Okay, so Dictate of Kruphitz says it's a 3-mana enchantment with flash. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an additional card. And Notion Thief is a 4-mana 3/1 human rogue with flash as well. And if an opponent would draw an extra card, except the first one he or she draws, in each of their draw steps, instead they skip the draw and you draw a card. So basically, any additional cards they draw for the turn, except for the card they just initially draw on a draw step, then you just draw instead. It's really effective. It works with Dictate of Kruphitz. It also works with Master of the Feast as well, which has similar effects.
Well, I'll say one thing, it's pretty sneaky. If you played that at the table, I'd probably be like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
It's nice because they both have flash, so this is a really amazing combo for a blue player.
Yeah. And so now it's time for your number 5. Coming right up. Okay, now it's your turn to explain it.
Right, so before we get into my favorite commander combos, I must say they all have something in common. The color black and tokens. Those are my favorite mechanics in all of Commander. Almost all my decks have them. Smothering Tight is a really amazing card. It's 4 mana, amazing mana cost. I'd recommend it highly for anybody who's playing white. And basically it says that whenever an opponent draws a card, they may pay 2. If they don't, then you can make a treasure. So it's really good to play it early on in any deck because it just speeds up how quickly you can cast spells with all your mana. So the great thing with Anointed Procession, when you combo it with it, is you make double those tokens, right? And then once it goes around the table and you make at least 10 treasures, depending on how many people you're playing with, you can just play Revel in Riches, and it says, one part which is less important. It says, whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a treasure, which is a nice thing, but what we really look at is at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game.
Yeah, so it's one of the best win conditions, yeah.
It's already Smothering Tithe is a great card, and it's just a way to win in like a sneaky way.
Yeah. And what about the Anointed Procession? So it's to speed it up?
Yeah, it's just to speed it up. I mean, it's amazing in any token deck, but I mean, with Smothering Tithe, it's just, especially if you can play it early on, like, you're just building up your combo much faster.
Yeah.
All right.
So now it's time for my number 4. And there I got a nice combo there. It's Area of Flame with Tainted Remedy. So Area of Flame is a 3-mana enchantment with when Area of Flame enters battlefield, each opponent gains 1 life. That's the important part. And we got a Tainted life. Yeah. So what do you think about this?
Again, it's something sneaky. Actually, one of my favorite combos is something similar, which has to do with life loss. I also really love that when you force people to lose life and they're like, oh, I can't do anything about it. Really, I mean, Tainted Remedy as well. I mean, Area of Flame, I'm not really much of a red player, but Tainted Remedy is a card that I've played quite a bit.
Yeah. Also, so like that downside of the Area of Flame of having the opponents gain life, so then you can just do this bottom effect. You can just override it and just turn into 2 positive effects if you just initially deal them 10 damage and then you can deal them additional damage. Yeah, it's just a really fun trick. I like it. That looks cool. I never tried it though, but yeah, it's just quite cool.
Tainted Remedy as well, a card on its own, is something I really like, especially against life gain decks, because it's not useful in every single situation, but when you do play it against life gain decks, it's especially good against like people who play like Edgar Markov or like tokens, or they gain a lot of life, or Aloro, which I'm going to talk about later. It's nice to put in, and then they're like, wait, what? And then they kind of have to stop and they freeze. They're like, what do I do now? If they don't have any removal, they're kind of screwed. So I like that card a lot.
Now you're number 4.
Right, so like I said, I really love tokens and I really love black. So Teysa Karlov is one of my commanders. I think she's super underrated. You guys should really think about building decks around her, especially if you like Orzhov. She's just a beautiful commander. So what she says is basically, whenever a creature dying causes a permanent of yours that you control to trigger, it triggers an additional time. And also, creature tokens you control have lifelink and vigilance, I think. Yeah. So with Helm of the Host, now Helm of the Host is a card that's like really busted in Commander in general. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except that token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste. So the equip cost is kind of high, but in Commander that's not really an issue. So what I like to do is, once I get Helm of the Host out with Teysa, it's pretty bonkers. You just attach it to her and keep making tokens that are copies, especially with, one of my favorite cards, Anointed Procession. She keeps like doubling. And when you have Elenda, the Dusk Rose, in play, every time a creature dies, she gets a +1 counter, right? With Teysa alone, she gets an additional one. And if there's 2 Teysas, that's 4 counters, and then if you have 3 Teysas, it just keeps going on. And then once you have all those Teysas in play, like every Teysa you make, it just doubles it again. Not doubles it, but it just increases the amount and duplicates. And then when Elenda dies, that is a lot of tokens, because when she dies, she creates X11 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink, where X is her power. So once you've put on all this dumb number of +1 counters, and this has happened before with her, and it was one of the best feelings ever. And there was one point where I made like 60 tokens, and when someone board wipes, it's kind of a bummer, but when it happens, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that's why I love it so much.
It's quite cool, but like it has a flaw. It like, if they just kill the original one, they'll just have to struggle to like reattach it, and like exiling Elenda, for example, might be an issue as well. There's some flaws, but it's quite cool. Also, Yarok is quite a similar commander to Teysa. Instead of dying triggers, it's just ETB triggers. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Helm of the Host is just amazing, but obviously, dies to removal is kind of a flaw that all creatures have. So, I mean,
yeah.
But like, if you can pull it off, it's really cool. But, you're right, there is a lot of work to put to it, and if someone disrupts it halfway, you still get some pretty cool effects from it. Obviously, if you're building a Teysa deck, you're going to be, putting lots of things that have good synergy with creatures dying as well, but Elenda is just my favorite.
Okay, let's just go to my number 3. And I got Sleep and a Sunblast Angel combo. So Sleep is just to freeze all of a single player's creatures and then just tap them off. And then Sunblast Angels to just blast them off. So you just empty one player's board. It's quite cool. You don't have to do it the same turn as in, because the thing is that it freezes them so they won't untap in their turn, so it gives you another turn to play Sunblast Angel on a separate turn.
So they don't untap like ever?
Not ever, but it's only for one turn. It's like you tap them and you do that one turn freeze thing, that classic freeze one, where it doesn't untap during their control's next untap step.
You know, a Sunblast Angel is also just really good against decks where all they do is attack, like Edgar Markov. You can tell he's my worst enemy because I keep mentioning him. But when he enters the battlefield, destroy all tapped creatures, especially decks with creatures that just keep attacking. Sunblast Angel is pretty great for that too. For me, I think that this combo is pretty cool, but it's also very situational. So if, for example, you could have another board wipe that doesn't necessarily need the creatures to be tapped. But actually, I do like Sleep. But, you know, there are other board wipe cards. I think Sleep is a good card in mono blue or something, where you don't have access to as many, you know, board wipes or things that can help you on the spot. But in general, not really my favorite combo. But why do you like it so much?
It's because the thing is that, like, it's quite, like, simple. You don't get your boards wiped out. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Additionally, you have a 4/5 with flying that can actually be quite helpful afterwards. And you're only upsetting one opponent, not all of them. And you're not messing yourself up either.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's a 4/5 flying angel, and it does have a cool effect with it. To be honest, yeah, it's pretty cool now that I think about it. I just feel like with that mana cost, you could have another board wipe, like, that destroys all permanents or all creatures or whatever, but actually it's kind of a good deal with how you get a flying angel as well. So, I mean, I can see why you like it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Deathwind or In Garrick's Wake are just black cards, and you need to pay them 9 mana in one turn. This, you can pay with 10 mana in one turn, or pay 4 and then pay 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let's say you're number 3. You're...
Right, so another one of my commanders is the Scarab God. Now, the Scarab God basically says that at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses X life and you scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. A lot of people, Dante specifically, you like to make Scarab God as a control deck. Now, for me, I'm one of the few people that likes making Scarab God as a zombie tribal. We continue to disagree on it, but in general, I think that's how it works best, especially when you accumulate a lot of tokens, because my deck has not only turning my cool creatures into zombies, but to make tokens as well. Now, Endless Ranks of the Dead is a card that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is half the number of zombies you control, rounded down. So there's a gazillion ways to make zombie tokens in Magic, like so many in Commander that you could do, like Liliana and, you know, just there's loads. And the Scarab God makes zombies as well. So all you really need to do is start producing zombies, and Endless Ranks of the Dead will just keep duplicating them. And then depending on how many zombies you have, the Scarab God is going to drain each opponent of that amount of life per upkeep. And if you play Wound Reflection, they're going to lose it again. So it's a really like cool way to drain people's life. And when you play Wound Reflection and along with it a card that says players lose life or opponents lose life, it's just like, oh man. And the great thing about Wound Reflection, it says each opponent and not each player. So this is just only beneficial to you. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it's quite cool. Like you just endless ranks of the dead. You just like you just like those zombies, and then you just like add a half to it more, but you retain like you double the damage each turn. Like you have 2 zombies. Okay, initially, so you deal the 4 damage. I mean, like, well, wait. So you deal 4 damage, and then like, and you can also like stack the triggers to resolve endless ranks of the dead before the Scarab God.
Yeah.
So then, like, you have 2 zombies, then you have 3 zombies, and then you get to make them lose 3, scry 3, which then they'll lose an additional 3, so it's actually 6. Then, like, for each zombie, it's going to add an additional, damage. Like, 2 zombies mean 4 damage. Adding an additional zombie is just an additional 2 damage. Like, we have all 3 out. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite cool.
I mean, you don't even need endless ranks of the dead. Like, it's a cool card, like, to make you have a load of zombies. But I mean, with the Scarab God and enough cards to synergize to make zombies, I mean, there was one point where I had like 30 zombies on the board. And actually, I didn't have Wound Reflection in play. I think I played it and someone countered it or destroyed it or something. So it didn't get to have quite the impact that I wanted it to. Like, I mean, that could have killed somebody. That, like, I mean, or even like 15. Imagine having like 20 zombies on the board. Each opponent loses 20 life. And then at the end, Wound Reflection, 20 more. So, I mean, that could be a win con. It takes some setting up, but, you know, Endless Ranks of the Undead is optional. It's just one of the many cards you can do for zombie synergy.
Yeah,
Tokens.
I heard there's this also a demon in Battle Bond, which I think it was a reprint from another set, which is just like Wound Reflection, but for 8 mana, and it's a 6/6 with flying. You know that one?
Yeah, even though the Scarab God, I play him as a zombie tribal, I do have my share of demons in there because it's just amazing with his activated ability. The 4 mana, which is 1 black, 1 blue, and 2 colorless, which you can just anything in the graveyard, anyone's graveyard, you can just make a token of it. That's a copy after exiling it. So, yeah. I mean, any zombie is pretty good. And there's any demons. And there's some demons that have zombie synergy as well. So it's just amazing to do.
I think it was called Archfend of Despair. It was like a demon equivalent. Oh, hello, Momo. How are you?
Yo!
Yeah. And yeah, I think it was called Archfend of Despair. Like, it's good if you have it as a creature there. Like, because if it dies, you can just bring it back one more time. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, Villas as well with the Scarab God is amazing because you just bring it in and it's just card draw, card draw, card draw, and like, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And wait, what? What just happened? No, wait, what? No. What? I don't know.
Like that.
How did that happen? It's just...
Oh my god, how embarrassing. Okay, shall we move on to your number 2?
Yeah, I'll just go to my number 2. Yeah. And yeah, this is another cool combo I like. Like, if you have Fog Bank out, it's just and then just Entangler, which means that you just have one of your creatures to be able to block any number of creatures. You have something like Fog Bank, or which has flying and it just prevents all the damage that would be to and by it. So yeah, it's like, it's not exactly indestructible, but like, it just prevents the damage. So it just prevents all the damage from going through absolutely, and like prevents lifelink even, death touch and stuff like that. It's really like an annoying combo. Like, it's quite cool with Fog Bank.
Yeah, Fog Bank is actually an uncommon. Yeah, I mean, I would never think about playing, and they're both uncommons actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, what I like about this is that it looks like a pretty, like, budget. I don't know how much the cards
Yeah.
are, but it looks like a budget kind of combo. Really great if you have like a low budget deck, like you don't have a limited amount of money that you can use to construct a deck. It's pretty cool. I like it actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like making like budget or fun or
It's
homebrew decks.
creative,
Like,
yeah.
I like using my own cards, not specifically buy cards for Commander. Like,
Yeah, you know, like I'm kind of the same way in a sense that, I mean, not in the budget sense, but I hate net decking. I really like making my own. I mean, there's nothing wrong with net decking. Some people prefer it. You know, if something works and it's proven to work, you know, it's nice to see it work. But for me, my favorite thing about Commander is the deck building aspect and getting creative with stuff. I mean,
yeah,
these combos are not things that I searched online. They're kind of, I mean, obviously there's some recommended cards for certain decks, but these are combos that I've kind of just discovered based on
yeah.
like playing the decks from like building like, whoa, what can I do with these? And then like it just ended up really surprising me. So you never know what you could do that could have a potentially like cool effect until you try it.
I mean, like, I like playing cards that I have in my collection. Like, I have like Counterspell, Dissolve, and stuff like that. And, like, if I have it, then I play it. But like, I don't buy cards to play. Like, I don't go like build a Scab God Commander deck and just go out and buy a Force of Will just to add it to the Commander deck. That's not how it works. Like, if I have any card that's lying around and it's not being used in any deck, then I'm just going to run it. I'm just going to play it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And once any competitive format like Modern, Legacy, Standard, Pioneer uses that card, I'll just take it out and use a weaker alternative. Like, I had Force of Negation removed from my Scab God deck. It was there because we had it lying around, not using it. But once we had to use it, they just decided to take it out and replace it with a Spell Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, using like cards that are not necessarily mainstream in Commander, it can definitely catch your opponents by surprise. I mean, I know that playing against you, there have been times where you've played cards like, what? I've never seen anyone play that card in Commander, and it was just kind of like, oh, but it did something I didn't expect, you know, and it can be really effective depending on the situation. And you know, there's no wrong way to play Commander or Magic in general. Like,
Yeah.
you know, everyone has their own way. Some people like net decking, some people like, you know, investing in their deck, some people just build with what they have, and all that really matters is that you have fun. Like, it doesn't matter. There's no wrong way to play the
Yeah.
game. Just try to follow
No.
the rules.
Yeah. And let's see. Oh, hello, Liz. How are you? Yes, I do have a friend with me today. That's the first time I actually had a friend on a podcast. Yeah.
Hi, Liz.
Yeah. There we go. This way. And now let's explore your number 2. Okay.
Wow, okay, that transition's pretty crazy. I thought I was literally in outer space. Right, okay, so Corvald, the Fey Cursed King. So I've actually seen someone else play this deck, but I'm a Jund Dragons fan. I played Jund Dragons Tribal with Darigaz, but I saw a lot of potential for this, and you know, I love my tokens and doubling effects, so first, let's have a look at ParallaxPotion. It says, if an effect would put one or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice that many tokens instead. So it's just like Anointed Procession, but it's green. Because, you know, obviously Corvold doesn't play white. But anyways, Corvold says basically that whenever you sacrifice a permanent, you put a +1 counter on him and you draw a card. So when you play Dragon Broodmother, which says at the beginning of each upkeep, not yours, each, put a 1/1 red and green dragon creature token onto the battlefield with flying and devour 2 into play, not onto the battlefield. So Devour says, as the token comes into play, You may sacrifice any number of creatures. It comes into play with twice that many 1/1 counters. So Dragon Broodmother's tokens, especially if you can make twice as many as she already makes, they are a sack engine. They just keep sacrificing. I mean, if you choose, it's a May. So Devour is a May thing. And, depending on how many you devour to make your tokens bigger and bigger and bigger, that's just a ding, ding, ding. Like, Corvold just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you draw so many cards, and it's super fun. Like, I mean, a lot of people don't, play tokens in a deck like this, but, I mean, obviously Corvold is amazing with treasures. Dragon Broodmother tokens, obviously people play tokens in Corvold because you need sack stuff. But in general, this is not something I've seen people play a lot. I mean, if you play it, you should probably comment and let us know how you like this combo. It doesn't really need Parallaxize, but I just love doubling stuff, so.
I mean, I think Anointed Procession is just a time shift of Parallaxize, practically saying. Additionally, it's when you Jund Dragons, I like playing Wooburg Dragons. I just have a Wooburg Dragons deck. Everything is a dragon except for, there's this knight thing that gives my dragons double strike. You know that one?
Oh, yeah. I think that's, forgive me if I'm wrong, Atarka?
No, not Atarka. Atarka cannot... There's also Atarka, but there's also another one which isn't a dragon, which gives my dragons double strike. And then, I can search... With this, I can search for dragon, which the dragon gives my knights flying and haste, which is quite irrelevant, because I only have one knight in it. and that's the only non-dragon creature in the whole deck. I mean, dragon knights would be quite cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
But if you like Jund Dragon commanders, and sacrificing tokens and stuff, you had Corvold and Daragast, but Prosh was also quite a good one.
I really like playing Daragast and Jund Dragons because even though it doesn't synergize with other dragons that much, it's still a really great way to get commander damage, and it's just boom, bam, bam. It's just such a big creature, and you can make it bigger too with whatever you want to. For me, I know a lot of people play Wooburg Dragons. I prefer Jund, but I mean, red-green is just the standard for dragons, and black gives it that extra oomph. And I don't really feel like the dragons in blue and white are that effective. I don't know, that's just me. But I have seen 5-color dragons be super awesome, especially with the Dragon Lords.
Yeah, with the Ur Dragon, Skian of the Ur Dragon, also sometimes Okagachi, I think. I don't know. It's quite rare to play a dragon deck with Okagachi as a commander, and not Ur Dragon or Skian.
There's a bajillion dragon synergy cards, so no matter how you build it, it's gonna be super fun to play. As long as you have your mana base good and you have enough lands and stuff, it's just super fun to play. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Additionally, I saw for that commander deck, I have friends that play a Prosh commander deck. I also have a friend that has a commander deck, and sometimes swaps out Prosh. Other times he plays Daragast in the same deck. He have Prosh as his main commander, but sometimes he swaps out for Daragast from his own deck and replaces it with Prosh. And, it's quite cool as well. Also, a Scarab God. I have a friend that also plays a Scarab God 1/1 tribal deck. Everything was 1/1, Dust Legion Zealot. No Ice Fang Code. What was it? Oh, Baleful Strips, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a pretty cool idea because Scarab God makes them 4/4s. But yeah, back to dragons. I was going to say, there's another Jund Dragon card that I love, which makes cat dragons. And even though there's loads of better cards, I love playing that in my Jund Dragons deck because I love cats, and the tokens are just so cute. I don't remember its name, but I'm sure you can find it if you type cat token MTG in Google or something.
I mean, just search cat dragon and there we go.
Yeah, cat dragon. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Render for
And that's my number one. It's quite really cool. It's a classic one. It's played in Legacy, rarely in Commander though, but yeah. Usually it's played with a Thespian stage instead of a Vampire Headsmage, but it's not that bad. It's Dark Depths is just a legendary snowland, which enters the battlefield with 10 ice counters. I used to think it actually entered tap. Like, I don't know how they read tapped on the card. Like, I don't know, but there's no tapped part in it. I just I actually thought it said enter tap, but no, it doesn't enter tap. So if you somehow have ways to make your lands tap for mana and something, then go ahead. It doesn't enter tap. It's quite confusing. It's quite misleading, the ETB trigger. And then for 3 mana, you can remove an ice counter from Dark Depths. That's an unused effect. Yeah, just notice it's just unused. They should remove that part. I mean, like, well, if they removed it, they'd lower it from 10 to 8 or 5 with no way of removing them. But, like, of course, players have ways to remove them. Who has no ice counters? You can sacrifice it if you do. Create 2020 Merit Lage. Yeah.
I've actually seen that quite a lot done with Thespian Stage, and it's super annoying when it's so hard to get rid of. It kind of reminds me of what was that card? Westvale Abbey. It's just a creature comes out that is just like so broken, and you're like, what do I do with this thing? But yeah, I mean, like, it's a pretty good card, and I must say I really love the art too. It's so beautiful.
I mean, yes, the thing is that if you have ways to, like, stifling this oh wait, it's not an ETB trigger, never mind. I was like thinking you could just go like enter and stifle, there you go. No, like, since the removing ice counters is an unused effect, they can just replace it with 1 mana and then it's 20 ice counters and not 10. I mean, like, it still will probably be unused, but, like, I'm not sure if you reduce it from 3 to 1 mana.
Let's talk about Vampire Hexmage, though.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that card?
Because you sacrifice it and you can remove all counters from a single permanent. It's 2 mana. Like, you can land it on turn 3. I mean, Thespians, you need to land it on a turn 4, though. And you have to lose a land. But Vampire Hexmage just land on turn 3 and you lose a creature, not land. And yeah, additionally, what's quite cool is that if you really want to grind and you want to land it on turn 7 or something like that, you can go with Thief of Blood, which is quite slow, but it comes with 10 plus on counters at least, if you're using Thief of Blood.
I mean, I think the reason why people prefer Thespian Stage is because it's not color biased. I mean, for Vampire Hexmage in Commander, you would need a commander that has black, and depends highly what deck you play. I mean, it looks like a budget card, so I can see why you chose it too.
I mean, like, I'm not like, it's not like someone's going to go out with a Locust God deck and just going to play Thespian's Deaths in Commander. It's like,
yeah, I mean,
Thespian's Deaths in a Locust God deck, or like some random deck running Thespian's Deaths. That's just more like a grind thing. So, like, if you have land strategies, you'd probably go with Black Array, like, unless if you're using a Omnath deck.
I mean, I've seen it in a mono green lands deck, which was just super annoying.
But Titania. Yeah, there's Titania deck, Omnath, and also the Lord Windgrace deck.
Yeah, Lord Windgrace. Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the Lord Windgrace.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to my number 1?
Yes.
Render full
Right, so for those of you who know me, you're probably so sick of how much I rave on about Crested Sun Mare. Aloro was one of my first commanders that I ever built, and I just fell in love with it instantly. I still have it. And Crested Sun Mare was a card that I really loved in Standard. Before rotation, I built a horse tribal deck because I just loved this card so much. And it was a really weird deck that kind of caught people by surprise, but once they knew what to expect, it was very easy to like deal with. But in general, Crested Sun Mare I think is just a super underrated card. It says other horses you control have indestructible, and at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 5/5 white horse creature token. The mana cost is no problem because in Commander, you can usually get up to 5 mana quite easily. That's like the average of spells mana cost in Commander in general. And it's a 5/5, and it makes 5/5s, which is pretty crazy. Now, in most other decks, it might not be that great, but in Oloro or any life gain deck, especially when you're playing lifelink creatures, which, you know, I do in Oloro, it's pretty busted because it doesn't just say your turn, it says each end step. So everyone's turn, it checks if you gain life, and it makes a 5/5 indestructible horse, as long as Crested Sun Mare is alive. Now, Oloro, by default, you're gaining 2 life every time it's your turn, and every one of your upkeeps. So whenever it's your turn on your end step, you're guaranteed to make a horse token. And if you block with a lifelinker or any other effect causes you to gain life in other people's turns, bam, another horse, another horse. Obviously, needless to say, with Anointed Procession, it's amazing. But now with Archangel of Thune, now this card is amazing in Oloro as well, or like any life gain deck in general, because not only is it flying lifelink, but whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on each creature you control. So if you have like 3 or 4 horses, and they each get a +1 counter, and then they make another one, and then a +1 counter again, and then make another one, it's a pretty amazing combo to me. I think making indestructible horses is super cute and also a lot of fun. And everyone knows that this is my favorite card in all of Commander, Crested Sun Mare, and I even have a theme song for him that I sing whenever he's on the table. He's just my favorite card, so this is my number 1.
Have you ever considered copying Crested Sun Mare? If you have double horse there, like they both have indestructible?
Yeah, you know what's cool about Crested Sun Mare is that it's not legendary, so you could actually do that. You could make copies of Crested Sun Mare. Probably in Oloro, you could also do Rite of Replication for Crested Sun Mare. I mean, I actually haven't thought of that, but I mean, it sounds like it would be a lot of horses, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Have you, like, even if it was legendary, there's always a Hall of Mirrors or Helm of the Host, Helm of the Host, that can create non-legendary tokens. And if it was legendary, you could actually have an individual horse tribal commander deck with the Sun Mare.
I wish. I am just waiting for Wizards to make more horses because this card is amazing. But I mean, when I was trying to play in Standard, there's just not very many good horses in Magic, and it was really hard to work. But I mean, once you get him down, it's like, whoa, look at all these horses. And like, horses is like, even though I'm not like crazy about them in real life, in Magic, because of Crested Sun Mare, I'm like, why don't we have more horses? This is just ridiculous. So I'm just waiting for them to release a set with a horse tribe in it because, man, Wizards, like, you could make so much money out of me. I will make sure I have a playset of every horse. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, like, when it was in Standard, there's only 3 horses, which is a Crested Sun Mare, Nightmare, and Dust Legion Charger, yeah. And they weren't even that good. I mean, Nightmare isn't really that bad. It's a flying horse, though.
I mean, in the core sets as well, they came up with, like,
the horse cycle. So, like, before our station rotated out, you could have, like, 3 additional horses if you were going to white-black horses strategy.
Yeah, I started this deck with black and white Orzhov, and then when the core set came out that had like Vinemare, the hexproof one, I made it white-green instead. It was still not very good, but
I mean, like, if you're going to white-black horses, then you just remove 8 horses just to add 8 horses. Okay, that's balanced, but like, I mean, like, if you replace the black with the green, but if you didn't replace it, then you'd be adding 8 additional horses without removing any horses. So you had 20 horses there, because 12 probably wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Supposing you play 4 of each, 4 Sun Mares, 4 Chargers, and 4 Nightmares.
I mean, you can't have enough horses. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to your number 1, shall we?
I did already. This is congratulations. You've reached the end of the podcast.
Oh, I'm sad that it's over. I thought there was more. I'm so disappointed, but I'm
But,
really
like-
glad. We had a lot of fun, huh?
I mean, like, yeah, but if you haven't already, just remember to like and subscribe or follow. If you haven't already, share with your friends. Stay tuned to the next video streams and podcast. Next week, it's going to be Golden Podcast, featuring all the Ruberg cards from worst to best because of the golden frame they had, and because it's Golden Podcast, yeah. Podcast edition 100 is coming next week, and yeah, remember watch our videos too. Podcasts are live every Tuesday, so yeah, stay tuned to them. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and bye.
Bye.